Good morning, everybody. It's a brand new day. It's Thursday, the 19th of December, 2024, and I've just finished my morning exercise. I've done 7 kilometers, and that's 7,700 steps, and lost 421 calories. Yeah, so I'm maintaining the tempo for this week, and hopefully I'll maintain it throughout. So today I want to talk about my East African Certificate of Examination and school certificate exams that I sat for in 1974. As I told you in an earlier episode that when we joined Form 1, we were taking 8 subjects and we couldn't add or drop any of them. So I wasn't good at chemistry at all. And I'm not going to blame my teacher, Mr. Desai, even though he was a terrible person. It was always H2SO4 plus PbSO4 plus H3 and something which never made sense to me. So I went for the exam chemistry. There was a practical paper, and then paper 1 and paper 2. I did all of them and I failed. The highest grade that was awarded was a 1, and the lowest grade, which was a failure, was a 9. So I got a 9 in chemistry. Then there was technical geometrical drawing. I went for paper 1, and paper 2, I read the timetable wrong. It was the last paper of the exam series that year. And instead of going to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, I went to school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And there was nobody. Yeah, there was nobody in school. So I missed paper 2. And obviously then I failed that paper also. But I passed with distinction English language, literature and English, geography. I got a credit 3. Distinctions were 1 and 2. Credits was 3, 4, and I think a 5. And the pass was a 6 and a 7 and an 8. I think so. I forget them. But anyway, in all the other 6 subjects, I got 2 distinctions and 4 credits. And so I got a Division 2 with 24 points. Division 1 was between 6 points and 22. Division 2 was 23 and I think 36, and so on and so forth until you got to Division 3, and then after that you are awarded a certificate or you failed. So that is what happened. Then we went for school holidays, waiting for the results to be published in the newspapers in around February, and we joined Form 5 in the second term. So during January, we went job hunting with my friend Mzamilu, and I got a job as a casual at the Serena Hotel in Mombasa. And I was posted to the kitchen, washing spoons, the cutlery. And at that time, there was an average of 300 people, hotel guests, taking breakfast. So you can imagine washing cutlery for 300 people, and on average, probably 3 plates and 6 or 7 spoons. Well, I think I got paid. We were being paid weekly on a Friday. Was it 14 shillings or 7 shillings? I forget. I have to check my notes. But yeah, it was a princely sum of about 14 shillings per week. So when, let me go back a little bit and talk about the Form 5 selection. So I think I had selected 2 national schools and a provincial school. Must have been the Nairobi school. Excuse me. The Nairobi school, Shimolatewa, and Alidina Visram. I never got any of those, but instead, when the results came, I was called to Meru School. At that time, I didn't know that Meru was a national school. And when my father looked at the calling letter, he said, this is a shady school. How does a national school charge only 428 shillings per year? And there was a whole list of things that you're given. You're only required to go to school with a box and one civilian dressing your trouser and your shirt, and you're given everything else for 414 shillings. So my father was reluctant for me to go to that school. And so instead, I went to a private Form 5 school, HH Aga Khan Kenya Secondary School in Mombasa, which was charging 225 shillings per month. That was very, very, very expensive. Convert that with 7 shillings to the dollar or 14 shillings to the pound, British pound sterling at that time. And just to put it in perspective, the people who are going to that school were the Mahihus, Eliud Mahiu was the provincial commissioner at that time, the mayor's children, and the who was who. Suffice to say that I went to Form 5, did the first term, May through August. Then around, I think, July or August, that time I didn't go to church. My father and his two wives and his other children, except myself, and my elder sister, who was already married at that time, and another stepsister who was working at the Serena Hotel. But everybody else was in that vehicle. It was a Ford Escort. I think, yeah, Ford Escort, Ford Cortina Escort or Ford Escort station wagon. So on the way from church via the Nyali Bridge, that is what now my mother was telling us, my father hit the side railing. On one side, on the middle lane, it was the vehicles. On the one lane, the outside lane, there was bicycles. On the other lane, pedestrians. So he hit the cycling lane and he recovered. Then he drove home. When they reached home, he parked the vehicle. Everybody got out except him. After some time, my mother asked, so where's Dad? And when they went back to check, he had collapsed on the steering wheel of the vehicle. He had a stroke. So our neighbor and distant relative Harun Alo was called, and he drove my father to Pandya Clinic, and he was admitted there for many months. He had suffered a stroke and he was paralyzed on his right side of his body. So essentially that meant me leaving school. So I did not go back for second term Form 5. I left school. Suffice to say that I was the only one in the family, in the larger clan, in my grandfather's family that was in high school at that time. There were people who were working who could have seen that I would go to school. Nobody raised a finger to ensure that I stayed in school. But a distant relative, William Odundu, who was a chief of Kisauni at that time, talked to my mother, talked to my dad. At that time, my dad's wholesale business was collapsing. My mother's grocery business had collapsed because they had to pay the hospital bills. At that time, there were no Harambes. People could not help you pay your hospital bills. You had to pay them by yourself. So all of these things collapsed, meaning that now they had to relocate to the village. And I was left in Mombasa with my immediate elder sister, my stepmother, an uncle and his wife. So we were left there. My sister was minding the water tap. My mother was vending water at that time. So we had a water kiosk outside our house. And William Odundo spoke with his brother, Samuel Alela, who was a senior research scientist with the East African Marine and Fisheries Research Organization, which was headquartered in Zanzibar with a branch in Mombasa. So I was employed as a laboratory assistant in 1975, October. with a salary of 668 shillings before tax, and which came down to 608 shillings after tax. Suffice it to say that it took 3 or 4 months before I got my first salary, and I was starving. My parents had relocated to the village. There was no way I could eat, so I would wait and drink the office tea at 10 o'clock and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that was it. There was a tenant in one of the rooms in our house, a camper tenant, who would boil nyoyo, which is a mixture of beans and maize. He would boil it at night, then sell it to the construction sites during the day. And I've said this many times. I'm not ashamed to say that, I would wake up in the middle of the night and take a scoop of that nyoyo and eat. I did that many times. Even when I got my salary, look, I was 17 years old. I did not even qualify to get a national ID card. Yeah, I was 17, and I started living alone at that age. It was tough, very tough. Sometimes in the first or second quarter of 1976, I was given an institutional house as an 18-year-old. I was there with my younger brother, twice removed, Toby, who was still going to school in Mombasa, Kongoya Primary School. We didn't know how to manage money. Money within 2 days, it was gone. So it was just survival. Yeah, let me stop there for today because I'm getting emotional about this. Let's continue tomorrow.